Jumanji is an ambitious mess.
I totally agree with you. I'll tell you, I think this movie would frighten younger kids, terrify them. There is nothing to leaven the fact that one thing after another happens. Giant insects, the tigers, the rhinos, the...
okay, but is it a good movie? And forget the scaring.
No, what I'm trying to say is it's not a good movie because nothing is done except this stuff just jumps out of the screen at the kids over and over again and at the kids in the audience.
And here's a comment that applies to a lot of American movies and their technology. Because you can do special effects, that doesn't mean you have to do them wall to wall.
They have to be at the service of the story.
You got it.
Siskel and Ebert's movie critiques often sparked heated debates, but sometimes they didn't get it quite right. Here, they strongly disliked Robin Williams' classic Jumanji, a film that started a billion-dollar franchise with its imaginative adventure. Let's revisit more moments when their reviews seemed out of sync with audience reactions or the lasting legacies of iconic films.
I didn't learn a thing about serial killers from this movie. A much more honest, less exploitive film on the same subject was last year's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. By contrast, The Silence of the Lambs is a star-studded freak show directed by the usually enormously talented Jonathan Demme, who I think for the first time in his career has picked a surprisingly trashy project.
This is a tough film to review because, of course, in terms of its subject matter, one can easily target it as you have. And also, I think that the ending doesn't really work. Once she gets into the house of Buffalo Bill, it does become standard. Who's behind this door? Who's going to jump on me from the shadows?
While Siskel and Ebert were uncertain about The Silence of the Lambs, the film claimed 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture in 1991.
Now on to Godzilla, which plays like they took apart 6 other monster movies, threw out the good parts, and then tried to reassemble what was left in the dark. Anyone who has seen many giant creature movies will recognize all the obligatory stops along the way, like the ominous early warnings, the destruction of famous landmarks, and the monster who makes a comeback after you think it's dead. The monster is never dead the first time around in these movies. I didn't even mind the formula. I just wish it had been done better.
Although Godzilla faced harsh criticism, it managed to gross $380 million globally and won multiple awards, defying its critics.
But you can also see there, I think, one of the big weaknesses of the movie, and that's the idiotic behavior of the Los Angeles Police Department. There was one character in this movie, a deputy chief, whose actions are so stupid and so unmotivated and wrong-headed that finally he just brings the movie to a stop every time he opens his mouth. Bad writing. He always says the wrong thing. He understands nothing. And with a movie like this, once you start picking out the loopholes, and there are a lot of them, it doesn't matter how good the stunts or the special effects are, or even how good Bruce Willis is.
Siskel and Ebert didn't initially recognize Die Hard as the iconic action movie it would become, despite it earning 4 Oscar nominations.
There is irony in this movie and satire and comedy, but there is also way too much routine war footage. The opening scenes in Basic Training recycle material we've seen before, and there is more recycling at the end of the film, which is devoted to that firefight in the ruins of a burning city, a sequence that was shot on a giant set and looks like it and reminded me more of World War II war movies than of the Special War in Vietnam. We expect an original masterpiece from Stanley Kubrick every time out, and this time I'm afraid it's not a bad movie, but it's not original and it's not a master.
While Full Metal Jacket was a critical success, Ebert's mixed reviews didn't reflect that, grossing $120 million and gaining 1 Oscar nomination.
You know, it's funny, I didn't like the movie at all.
At all?
Except for one aspect that has to do with the violence. I think that some of the shootout sequences in this film are some of the most beautifully choreographed things, showing you know, what happens in a violent situation, including the first shootout, which I guess really got hacked a little bit up by this rating because they took out some of the most gruesome scenes, and it's still pretty gruesome. But the rest of the movie, other than the violence, I found empty. I found, at one point, he marries that woman, and I can give that away. He marries that woman, and she calls him at the end a boring guy at the end of the picture, and I thought, yes, tremendously boring from the beginning of the movie.
Scarface went on to gross $66 million worldwide and earned multiple Golden Globe nominations, cementing its cult status.
It's not just not brilliant, it's the idiot plot, what I've always talked about, where one word from any one of 3 different people in this movie could have collapsed the entire plot, because then the father wouldn't have thought that, and then everything would have been different, and so they all have to be very careful not to say that one word.
In most movies that have idiot plots, you do not have performances this good, I think you'll agree with that, right? And I think the other thing is that you will not see a character grow up. And I'm telling you that this young actress is given a good...
She doesn't grow up. She just moves right along according to the requirements of this
No, she comes to that camp naive, and she grows up at the end of the film.
And that's a cliche, Gene. That's a cliche.
Siskel didn't expect Dirty Dancing to succeed, but it grossed $170 million worldwide and won an Oscar, defying expectations.
Well, I know that that's what it's trying to be, and I certainly wanted it to be that, but it didn't work on me. The fantasy fell apart. Bull Durham, to me, of recent pictures, is to me even more pure about the love of baseball. I mean, for me. This is a picture that really tries to pull off a very difficult thing, building that baseball field in the cornfield, and I like the visual look of it. I'll never forget seeing the field in the field. But when it starts to collect the other characters and bring it in, the picture, I think, is just too ambitious for its own good. It's not bad. It's not a bad film. I didn't make a scene.
Though Field of Dreams didn't wow Siskel and Ebert initially, it grossed over $84 million and earned 3 Oscar nominations, becoming a beloved classic.
This plot is so old-fashioned and so hackneyed and so recycled out of 100 other fairy tales and other movies that I was waiting to see what kind of twist or spin Eddie Murphy was going to put on it, and there isn't any. And the second thing is, the energy level of the movie is so low. This is the first Eddie Murphy movie I've ever seen that can accurately be described as lethargic. You talk about how he's sweet and laid back.
Yes.
I think he's way too laid back. I wanted to see Eddie Murphy take this prince and not play him so straight and so sweet, but give him a little bit of an edge.
Coming to America exceeded expectations, grossing nearly $280 million and earning 2 Oscar nominations, despite mixed reviews.
There are too many scenes of behavior and no scenes of insight. And as the guys assemble back at the warehouse, there's too much talk from characters who should really be unconscious or mad with pain instead of giving us all that dialogue. I liked the movie as far as it went. I wanted it to go further and try more.
I had the same reaction, Roger. I thought it was a lot of an exercise in style, but then I got that really quick. I mean, I understand what he's trying to do here, which is to show things in crime movies that crime movies don't show. For example, the sloppiness, the humor. But we get that within 15 minutes, and then the movie doesn't have anything more to say.
Siskel and Ebert had mixed reactions to Reservoir Dogs, yet Quentin Tarantino's debut film has since become one of the most influential in modern cinema. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right here. Let's go. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, it's cool. You can go on and lie to me, cause I can see right through your lies. But baby, it's not fazing me, it's cool. Facts. I see them texts you sending me. You know you got them tendencies, and I can be your therapy, it's cool.